little repair that I've had some folks ask me about, and I've seen other channels do this, but I'm happy to also add my version of it. On these action cabooses, when you apply power, the guy slides in. Problem is almost always you've got this chattery solenoid inside, and a really fairly simple way around that is to add what's called a bridge rectifier. And what a bridge rectifier does is it takes the oscillating current, the AC that's going, back and forth, and changes it into a DC, direct current. And that tends to really quiet the solenoid down. Sometimes there's other adjustments you can make to a chattering solenoid, which if you want to see what I did to a log loader, feel free to take a look at my playlists and check that out. That's from a few years back, where I had a log loader that was chattery like this, and I found out with some adjustments the linkage that was completely quiet now, and I didn't do anything with a bridge rectifier. But in a case like this, we're going to go ahead and move to a bridge rectifier and see what happens. Okay, we're going to begin by removing the shell, and again, I'm sure there are many of you that have your little tricks for doing such things, but this particular version has the pins in the corner, and so what I try to do is get something under there and gently pry up. The challenge being is to not damage anything and not gouge my own thumb. Sometimes they come out easier than other times. Okay, so now that I've got the pins out, I want to be careful not to damage the little brakeman at the back here. And let's see here. Since this is the first time I've ever taken one of these apart, I did a couple things that probably were unnecessary. One was I removed the back brass ladder assembly, brake assembly. Should have left that on, but in an effort to not damage the linkage or the brakeman, I was trying to remove things that might be a problem. The next thing I did was I tried to investigate how this thing was wired up. I didn't have this reference chart until after I was done with this video. I hadn't found it or looked very well for it, so hindsight 2020. But you can see here at the bottom we have this very simple schematic, and what I wanted to do is run the power to and from the coil through the bridge rectifier first to quiet that down, take it from AC to DC. And while I was looking at this caboose, I couldn't really get to the wire on the back side of the solenoid very well without drilling out the rivet that held the solenoid to the base of the caboose frame. So again, there may have been a better way to do it, but this is the way I chose to do it. And then I was able to easily get to all the different wires to then connect to the bridge rectifier. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this or not, but we've got plus and minus on the outside, and we've got AC on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually unsolder this wire here, and then run a new wire from here to here, and take this one and put it over to here. Well, I'll use alligator, it shouldn't matter, but I'll use alligator clips just to temporarily find that out, make sure polarity is going to be correct. And then I'll unsolder this one and go to the outside there. So that's what I'm doing now. there we go. We got a nice quiet solenoid now. And now I get to continue forward with where I stopped. All right, so first of all, just going to slide the shrink tubing down over here. And over here. I hope that will prohibit future short issues. Just going to slide this one down just a bit here. I would encourage any of you that have this kind of an issue come up with a noisy accessory to use a bridge rectifier. They're very simple, and with a little bit of information on the bridge rectifier itself, it's pretty hard to go wrong. One thing that I chose to do here, just to again try to be on the safe side, was add shrink tubing in different colors because those leads are so long. I thought, you know, what if as this car goes down the rail that things jostle around a little bit and maybe eventually you get a lead connecting or short circuiting to, you know, power feed or something else. So just to be on the safe side, I went ahead and did that. But, you know, that's to each his own kind of thing. One other thing that I thought of, this would have been a prime opportunity to do this, would have been to swap the incandescent bulb for an LED. Again, that's something that could be done later too. Depends what kind of LEDs you use, but certainly a nice upgrade, if you will, to a fun accessory. And boy, I think this is something I would highly recommend you do. Just begin, because it's not that hard. In fact, the hardest thing is getting the pins out of the corner to separate the shell from the caboose frame. So as I mentioned earlier, I shouldn't have taken the rear brass brakes assembly off, and what I ran into was the way they had the bottom clip that you see me messing with here, they had that bent downward, and then the brake assembly linkage slid back and forth over that. And in my effort to get that out of the way, I kind of changed the contour a little bit, and then the brakeman would hang up. So it ended up causing me a lot of extra time trying to get that sorted out, smoothed out, and realigned correctly. If that would have just been left in place, this would have been a very, very short repair project. So learn from me, don't remove that. In terms of rethreading, I use 3mm cap head screws, which I have because of the crossovers that I do. So those worked out just perfectly for this application because I didn't have to do any additional drilling. I ran the tap up through the frame and then the hole in the solenoid bracket. And it was, again, very, very quick, very simple. One other thing I did when I was reassembling the bracket for the solenoid with my 3mm screw, and I didn't really show this because it was kind of a secondary afterthought, is I had some very small rubber washers that I'd picked up from, I believe, Barnes & Hoover, my local hardware store, and I decided to go ahead and put one of those between the support bracket for the solenoid and the frame of the caboose. The idea being it isolates electrically a little bit better and of course creates more cushion to help things be even quieter than they would normally be with the bridge rectifier. Again, that's kind of over and above, but it does give you all something to think about when you're putting these back together, that maybe that makes sense. Those little rubber gaskets are, you know, pennies, and so get a couple of them and have them on hand for such repairs as this. I think probably in the future, I've got a couple more cabooses like this to work on. I think probably I will do the same thing just because it just does a better job of isolating any potential vibration that comes through that solenoid.